Hello, welcome back to the Deja Vu review. This is part 10, and we're finishing up where we left off. They're in the car, they're ready for, They're ready to make a move. You're going to be amongst vipers and snakes with your ordained spouse. And you're going to have to trust his instincts in this moment. Because in this moment, he's going to have to die to self in order for y'all to live. This is a sacrifice for others to live. This is his Jesus moment in the name of Jesus. But in all actuality, it's the shift back. The shift back. He had to die to get there. But in order for him to right what was done, he has to die again. Hear me with your spiritual ears. There's a part of your God-ordained spouse that needs to die to become what he became in the place that he was at, right? That needed to die. But he has to go through a second death. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? He has to go through a second death to kill everything. Just like Jesus had to go through the death. He went through the death, burial, resurrection, and he went back to his glorification with God. Your God-ordained spouse has to go through another death. And in this death, it realigns everything back in order. Because remember, he was in the spirit. So in order to go from spirit to natural, natural to spirit, he had to die to himself to go into the spirit realm. But he's going to have to die again to be reintroduced to the natural. Is that making sense? Okay. With that being said, so the guy's got the gun on the car, and she's sitting there, and he's like, "You trust me?" He said, the security was telling him, "Get out the car, get out the car." And he just turns, he sits parallel to her, looking at her straight. As he's looking at the cops, he's looking at her, sitting sideways in his seat, and he says, "If we get out this car, everybody dies." They say, "Get out the car. You have until 1, it's a countdown, 2, 3. She guns that vehicle straight for the water. It hits the rail and flips over into the water. You are counting down to the day and the moment in which you will walk into the manifestation of what God has given you, and it's counting down. You got enemies at all sides trying to take you out. And when God says now, it's going to be like 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now. When God says now go, because he had you in a waiting position. Now he's going to tell you to go. Some of y'all been getting green lights. Some of y'all been seeing green lights. It's go time. Doug said, hit it. That car went over and into the water. Now, remember in the previous word, I think it was 504, I said meant water. In this, it's almost like the baptism. Death, burial, resurrection. And all actuality, I didn't even see that. They go in the water. He gets her loose from the steering wheel by popping the steering wheel off, because she was actually chained to the steering wheel. He takes the steering wheel off so that she's able to get off and get out. But he can't get out. I don't know whether he was pinned or he chose to stay in there. But when she reaches the surface a rescue team, which just so happened to be right there, because I saw the buoy on the side of the boat when she came up out the water, and they pulled her onto the recovery water taxi thingamajiggy, and she's laying there trying to catch her breath, and she's like, what in the world just happened? And they bring her to shore, but the bomb still goes off. The bomb nearly went off underneath the ferry because the ferry ran over the vehicle under the car, underneath of the water, while they were trying to get out. And it nearly went off still underneath. But it's like, it was a delay. So the ferry wasn't directly over it. Now, it probably would have blown up irregardless, but the ferry wasn't directly over it. So because the ferry wasn't directly over it, it blew up. But it didn't kill them. So it was just out of range. So everybody saw the vehicle blow up. Otherwise, she's brought to sit and wait. Some of you, and if I knew what that video was, Queen Alita released a word 4 years ago, maybe, on her channel. And she said that some of y'all have been through some disastrous situations. You barely made it out of this situation. Your life looked like a car crash, a wreck, a mess. And because your life looked like a mess, in this moment, that's when God's going to send your God-ordained spouse in. In that moment, your God-ordained spouse is going to come in to save. But in this moment, when it looks like it's been a disaster, when it looks like it's not going to happen, when it looks like everything's dead and gone, there are things in your God-ordained spouse. It's things that are going on that you can't see. It's things that don't make sense right now. And because of that, you're sitting there like, what? I'm still trying to get my bearings as to what just happened. Everything fell apart. Every time God breaks down a season, he breaks down a season. And you sitting up there like, oh my God, what the heck just happened? And you're just trying to digest what you just experienced. But here comes Doug around the corner in the midst of all of the chaos. And remember, he blew in his hands. And remember when I said that when he blew in his hands the first time, it represented God's Ruach breath. God is blowing his breath of life across this situation. Because remember in Ezekiel 37, that when the breath of God rose the dead bones, he's coming to resurrect these things in your life. He's coming to resurrect you. So your God-ordained spouse is a representation of what he's using to bring in your resurrection in this season. So Bobby, who came to talk to her and told her, I need you to sit still for a minute, I'm going to go get somebody. Bobby goes over to him and says, we got a live one. And she's a witness in relation to what happened. We need you to talk to her, Doug. And he's like, all right. So he comes over to her. And she's sitting there in stunned shock. Wait, you're here? I need you to digest this for a minute. I need you to hear me. Can you hear me good? Some of y'all have seen your spouse in the spirit. You've seen him in the spirit. You know him in the spirit. You've experienced him in the spirit. You know this in the spirit about him. All of this kind of stuff in relation to the spirit. And it's like, okay, but when are you going to show up in the natural? When are you going to show up in the natural? When are you going to show up in the natural? It's like, when is it going to manifest? When is it actually going to happen? In this moment, in the interim between the disaster moment and your God-ordained spouse showing up. And for some, it's vice versa, meaning your God-ordained spouse was in the disaster and you're going to be the one that shows up. But you've been showing up in the spirit. But when y'all come together in the natural, it's that, what? Doug walked up to her and she almost backed up a little bit like, wait, what? It's like, hi, hey, you okay? You all right? She's like, Doug? For some of y'all, when your God ordained spouse approach you, you're going to be like, insert your God ordained spouse's name here. It's really you? And he's looking at her like, yeah. Do we know each other? He said, it's okay. You can come on. It's okay. It's like, have we met before? And in your spirit, you and your God ordained spouse have spiritually met before. But you just haven't met in the physical yet. It's like, have we met before? So they go and they get in the car. He said, come on. Yeah, come on. Let me put you in the car. He said, you okay? Come on. He puts her in the car. He sits there and he turns the radio on. As he's turning the radio on and they sitting there, he turns back to her. He said, you okay? Let me turn this this heat on to make sure that you can warm up, okay? Your God ordained spouse is going to tend to you. And in such a way, because of the trauma you just went through, you're almost going to feel a little bit traumatized at the fact that he is. It's like, wait, he's helping me? He's like, oh, are you okay? And you're like, uh-huh. You're going to be looking at him like, uh-huh. Because you know you've been seeing this man in your dreams and all kinds of stuff. He's like, you legit, you really real now. And it's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah. So he turns the radio on. Still kind of like, okay. And she's sitting there. And the Beach Boys song comes on. Don't Worry, Baby. The same song that played just a few minutes ago while all these things were happening when it originally started in the beginning of the movie. He smiles, but he has a moment where his head tilts as if he's having a deja vu. And he's looking like, he's sitting in his car like, he's looking like, and she's like, what's wrong? And he's still looking around like, huh. And she's like, what's wrong? Nah. He's like, nah. She smiles. And she says, what if you had one of the most important things that you had to tell someone, but you didn't know whether they would believe you, which is exactly what he told her. He looked at her, still kind of feeling weird. He said, I would try. And you know what this moment is? I'm going to tell you exactly what this moment is. You ever been around somebody and when you got around them, you felt like, I know you. I feel this comfort and this ease with you, but I know I don't know you, but like, have we been here before? Have we? It's like what you see in the movies when people say that they lived lives together before, and they can have an instant recognition of each other. And when a man can identify his wife, and when it's like it's a comfort level there that is unexplainable. That's what that is. And he's still trying to figure it out. Some of your God ordained spouses are still trying to figure it the level of ease and comfort that's going to come when he comes into contact with you. It's like he ain't even going to understand it, and you're going to be that person sitting there like trying to explain. What if you had to tell somebody something? You got to tell them this process that you had to go through, because they don't understand it, but they felt it. They know it. They don't quite understand it, but you got the answer. And he's like, I try. So you're going to have to try to tell this man the process, what this was truly all about, the real deal of this scenario. And you're going to have to tell him. And it's like, are you ready for that level of openness? Are you? But he was like, nah. Because he felt it, but he didn't know what he was feeling. So he said, nah. And she just smiles as they drive off as the song is playing. Oh, I know you know that I'm about to review this song, right? Let's see if we can get it in before the end of this video. Beach Boys lyrics. Catch it. Well, it's been building up inside of me. You and your spouse have had feelings that have been building up inside of you, but God has not let you express them to one another. For, I don't know how long. You don't know how long they have been in love with you, and they don't know how long this has been going on between you and God and them. I don't know why, but I keep thinking they can't get you off of their mind. But at the same time, they have a fear that something's going to go wrong. And it's so interesting. I was listening to a video by Elisa Marie this morning, and she was talking about the fact that a lot of these men haven't approached because they're afraid something's going to go wrong. But she looks in my eyes and makes me realize you are a level of comfort for this man that lets them know immediately they don't have to worry. It's like she says, don't worry, baby. Don't worry, baby. Everything's going to turn out all right. And this is what we are saying to our God-ordained spouses. Everything's going to turn out all right. Take the leap. I'm being reminded of the line in Alicia Keys' song when she talks about being afraid to fly. And what's the name of that song? It's in my playlist of Kingdom Marriage songs. But it's talking about, she says, she says, I'm a little bit scared. He says, just take my hand and we'll go there, or something like that. You're going to have to trust this man, and he's going to have to trust you. But when you trust each other, you're going to be able to take off. So in coming back to this song, I guess I should have kept my mouth shut. Some of your God-ordained spouses are afraid to open their mouth because they bound up 334 and shut up. But when I started to brag about my car, but I can't back down because I pushed the other guys too far. Some of these people think that they're operating in a level of clout. They got the cars, they got the this, they got the that. But when it comes to you, that don't matter. But with all the stuff that they got, no one makes them feel alive as you do. Makes them want to drive. You give this man drive in his spirit to go after the things that he wasn't going after before. And because you have a level of support that says, don't worry. Don't worry, baby. I got you. She told me, baby, when you race today, just take along my love with you. And if you know how much I love you, baby, nothing could go wrong with you. Your God-ordained spouse is in a race. This is not a sprint, it's a marathon. He's running, but you got to be his biggest supporter. And you got to walk and run with him. How many times have I told you guys? You're in a 3-legged race. And God's the leg that's in between you. It's him, God, and you. And you're running together. You're going to have to trust this man. Because if you don't trust this man, he will run forward and begin to drag you. But if he stops and you try to move ahead of him, you're going to fall flat on your face because your legs are tied together with his. If he don't move, what's going to naturally happen? You're going to fall flat on your face. So learn to operate together. But also, don't worry. Everything's going to be all right. She does love me. And he now realizes that. And on your wedding night, when y'all first make love, you're going to understand, and so is he, the connection that y'all truly carry. And that is going to probably lead to the birthing of your children. Some of y'all going to get pregnant on the night of your consummating of your marriage. Let me just tell that to you right now. Don't worry, God's in control of this whole situation. God's preparing you even now for what he's prepared for you. That's what all of this was for. So, I'm going to end this here. I have another song. Might be 2 songs. I just have to determine whether I'm going to do it or not. But I'm going to do those next. So I hope this blessed you. This is Taj McCameron. Much love, faith, peace, and blessings. Bye-bye.